Hi, welcome to North of 48th. It's September 18th, and it's a sunny day up here in northern Canada. It's been 939 days of the Russian invasion into Ukraine. The president is here, said Timothy Snyder. I'm going to paraphrase a paragraph from him. These two words were uttered by the Ukrainian president, Vladimir Zelensky, on the 25th of February, 2022, just as the invasion had begun, 2 days into the invasion. President Zelensky said on the 25th of February that I am here. The president is here. He was, of course, speaking the truth. He was saying something which was true. In fact, he was in Kiev at that moment. He was where he said he was. He was doing what he said he was doing. He was speaking the truth against a background of lies. So one of the reasons why he was there saying what he was saying is that 3 days into the war, at a time when a lot of people thought the war was about to end, the Russians were claiming that he'd already left Kiev. So again, he was speaking the truth against the background of lies. He was also speaking truth to power. Teams of assassins were nearby, probably in Kiev itself. Tanks seemed to be on the way into the city. They'd gotten very close at that point. Bombs and missiles were falling. He was speaking truth to power, and this is an interesting part of freedom of speech. Please welcome a fellow who also speaks truth to power, Konstantin from the Inside Russia YouTube channel, and a frequent guest on Silicon Curtain.
Hello, Walter. Hello, friends. Thank
How
you
are
for
you, my
having
friend?
me. Doing well. Thank you so much. I'm in exile. It's been a long time since I left Russia.
Right.
So, other than that, doing well.
Well, you're living out in Tashkent, and you're still speaking truth to power. Your insights into the Russian zeitgeist is phenomenal. And like I was mentioning before, I've been watching you before the war. So I'm just fascinated with everything Russia. But I appreciate you being able to disseminate the information from news channels in Russia and to let us know what is inside Russia at this time. And welcome to my podcast. It's always a pleasure to see you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. I have been broadcasting and I do not intend to stop. I will
Good.
continue doing so. And now I consider myself a scholar of Russia, of the changes that are happening in Russia, and I study it under microscope every single day, and I share with my learnings what
Right.
I find.
Well, you're speaking truth to power because I know David Knowles, who had the Ukraine podcast on Telegraph. He's 32 years old, 100 million um, listeners, and he died out in Gibraltar of a heart attack. And some people are suggesting, might have been some funny business because he was a healthy guy. Do you worry about that up where you are? Because I see journalists or people talking about Russia have to be defensive. You never know.
I worry, I worry about this a lot. I worry for
Right.
myself, for my family, because Uzbekistan is much easier to get to than Gibraltar. Okay, and that death, and of course I have heard of it, that death reminds me awfully a lot of the deaths of recent deaths of those Shoigu friends, the generals, Russian officials who were detained, and all of a sudden, healthy young males, they died all of a sudden of heart attacks.
Yes.
So yes, I do worry a lot. Moreover, I have caught tail behind me twice.
Oh my.
Uh, on two different occasions, there were two agents following our group, Tashkent Breakfast Club, and I have how do I say that? I have gut feelings sometimes that
Hmm.
a person comes in and starts making friends with us, and sometimes you just know something is odd. Okay, so I've had cases like that quite a few times in the last year and a half. So yes, I do worry a lot, but kind of stuck here and I have no place to go.
Well, hopefully we get you over to North America soon. That would be
It's
just
been
fabulous.
2 years, and it doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon. So trust me, North America is a tough place to get into, both the
Okay.
USA and Canada, as long as you want to do it legally. Illegally, it's much easier. Okay, but that's just no. I'm serious.
Uh-huh.
We have like a hub of Russian refugees here coming to Tashkent.
Mhm.
I've seen thousands and thousands of people. They come and they have breakfast with us, and they ask for advice where to go next. And quite a few people suggested, in the know, suggested, oh, you should go fly to Mexico and cross illegally, and all of these things. And I
Mhm.
actually know a couple of people who did that
Okay.
and got away with that. It's definitely not for me. Um, I want everything legal, transparent, but it's nearly impossible. Although I have a couple kids in the United States who are U.S. citizens, believe it or
Oh,
not.
wow. That is just awesome. It should be a family reunification program.
Yeah, right.
You'd think, eh?
You don't know much about the
Yeah,
U.S. immigration.
I do
Family
not.
reunification. Yes, yes, it is possible. Only wait is about 9.5 years.
9.5 years. Oh my God.
Some Mexicans wait for 18 years. Yeah, yes. Americans just don't know about that. Once you start learning about U.S. immigration, it's just odd.
Wow. That's well, best of luck to you in that regard. I
Thank you. Thank
hope
you.
you can do something there. I wanted to talk about Pavel Durov, the Telegram app guy who was arrested in Bourget Airport. Sorry. Um, Telegram says Durov has nothing to hide. He has French and UAE citizenship as well as Russian citizenship, which I want to ask you a question about right away. Russia says Durov's rights should be respected. Um, so he's 39 years old, technology billionaire, and he's been arrested in France. He's let go on his own recognizance right now. I have a question for you on citizenship. I don't know if you can answer it, but I was always under the impression that if you were Russian, you couldn't hold another citizenship. Can only be
It's
you're
not
either
correct.
Russian or you're not.
No,
That's
no,
not
no, no,
true,
no.
eh?
You can hold a Russian second, third, or other citizenships if you're born Russian. As far as I know, in the past, but don't quote me on that. But I think that's what the case was. If you a foreign national and you want to acquire
Hmm.
second Russian citizenship, then you had to give up your other citizenships, become only citizen of Russia. But I think they changed the law, so I know quite a few people who hold both passports. But
Okay.
certainly not the case for the likes of Durov and us, actually, all of us who want second citizenship or third citizenship. So,
Hmm.
what media forgets to tell people is that Durov also holds St. Kitts and Nevis passport. I remember from the old days, wasn't really advertised, but when he left Russia and he was leaving in a hurry because the KGB was after him, the first passport he got was St. Kitts and Nevis.
Oh wow. Okay.
So he holds a few.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he was also so the Telegraph for people who don't know Telegraph, it's an app that's Ukrainians and Russians use quite a bit, and in Eastern Europe. Um, I've gone on it a couple of times. I can only read, I can't post. I don't know why. Maybe it's a Canadian thing. But Pavel was also in Russia and he was detained in Russia for a bit. And then apparently he gave the keys to the encryption protocol to Russians. At least that's the rumor. Does that sound familiar to you?
As far as I know, and I've done a bit of research,
Hmm.
he has never been detained in Russia.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He was just invited for wine or a coffee then.
Worse. It's worse, Walter. He came in voluntarily. Okay.
Okay.
He's a legend. Well, he was a legend. Right
Hmm.
now, I don't even know what to think about him. Okay, I have to wait until this whole thing ends and clears out, and then. But before he was a legend, he basically was a very young programmer, early 20s. He saw Facebook, early versions of Facebook, and he basically copied Facebook and created Russian social media called VK, Vkontakte. And it was great. It was a fantastic platform, absolutely censorship free, free speech, anything went. No one paid attention. The state didn't poke its nose into high tech business and businesses in general back then. And he became a very influential guy. He was known for his stand for freedom of speech and values, and he was just a young, rich billionaire in Russia. Um, for some time, for a couple of years, I had an office in St. Petersburg at a company. I was doing a high tech startup myself, and we had an office right next to Vkontakte. So I bumped into him once, and I saw the office. I passed it by it all the time. It was a bunch of young, energetic, happy people, and it was a pleasure to be around. And then came 2010, I believe, and the state, well, Russia started changing. Vladimir Putin decided to run for the third time to become the president, and they decided that the Bolotnaya Square happened. Gosh, I'm going to give you the whole thing right now about Russia. So
Appreciate it.
basically, Russia was fairly free until 2011. And that's on December 11th or 12th of 2011, first mass protest happened. And no one had been prepared for it. Certainly not the state. Putin was caught off guard. Medvedev was caught off guard. He was the president back then. And it was a very scary moment for the government because people assembled and they could do anything. Okay. So there was another huge meeting on Sakharova Square shortly after. And then the government, they sat down and they created a strategy how to take over media space in Russia. And social platform was the first step. They had to take it over because a lot of advertising went through Vkontakte for young people to go on the streets and to assemble and protest. So the first thing they started doing is they started trying to censor and control Vkontakte, and Durov opposed that. And at the end, he sold Contact. He said he was threatened on numerous occasions, and he sold it for pretty penny. The rumors have it over $300 million. I don't know the exact amount. No one knows. Okay, and he left immediately. That's when he got a second citizenship of Saint Kitts and Nevis, and he started his new company called Telegram. And Telegram is a messenger, advanced messenger that allows, first of all, it's been known that Telegram is not monitored by anyone. It's completely confidential. And that was the selling point of Durov. He said, I'm gonna give you a tool of communication that keeps your privacy. And no matter what, I'm not gonna sell out. And I guess he gave an interview not too long ago, in the summer of 2024 to Carlson Tucker, and then he told the story how he was approached by American special services, while he was visiting the USA, and they talked to him, and he declined to cooperate. And then, of course, Russians. He had been under pressure for a long time, and so forth. Then he was very ambitious about Telegram, and he wanted to create a platform and create own cryptocurrency called Tone, I believe, Ton, Ton, and he did, and he was very successful. but U.S. Security Commission shut him down back in 2014 or something like that. It's a long time ago. They said that basically he couldn't do ton, that it was regulated by the US law, although, Telegram was not based in the United States. But anyway, the American government did not allow a madly popular messenger create its own cryptocurrency so that it would threaten US dollar. Okay. So they shut him down. The problem was with that is that Pavel Durov had raised um, crazy money, over $1 billion from investors. And the US, is it the Security Exchange, I think, they obliged him to pay all the investors back. And obviously he didn't have the money. So there were a lot of court hearings, and the final one was, I think, on 2017 and 2018, perhaps. Anyway, he lost, and he had to pay back. And he kept on saying that, look, Telegram is the safest messenger out there. It's private, it's secure. Your conversations are completely end-to-end encrypted, and, no one has access and all of that. And you know what? Russian government was after him. They banned Telegram. And to me, that is a huge proof that if they ban something, they can't crack it. They can't monitor. They don't have access to it. Okay. So I use Telegram, no problem, for private communications. And time came for Durov to pay back. And it was a recent leak of a database of border crossing in Russia. Basically, he went to Russia. He spent some time in St. Petersburg, and he left, and I believe it was 18th of June, 2020. At the very same day, Roskomnadzor, which is the government's watchdog for, all this communication systems, devices, messengers, and so forth, Roskomnadzor issued a statement saying that Telegram was safe from that point on, and it wasn't blocking. And all of a sudden, Pavel Durov somehow came up with all this crazy money, paid the investors back. I didn't know that. No one knew that, but there was a leak not too long ago, just a few weeks ago. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that, I understand. Well, I can't claim for sure, but I think that he sold out to Russian government back then, 2020. And the next year, there was protest movement. Navalny's supporters were assembling and staging protests, and Telegram released personal data on multiple occasions about the oppositioners at the request of the Russian government. That it didn't used to do before, but in 2021 it did release. That's a fact. So I think Durov sold out to the Russian government, and he was claiming for a long time that Telegram was free, you can use it and so forth. And then all of a sudden there was a huge shift in Russia from the state point of view. They couldn't stand Telegram. They criticized, oh, the spies use it, bad guys use it. And then just like that, oh, it's okay now. Telegram didn't change. Their attitude changed. And well, the rest is history. We know that he showed up. Well, actually, some people don't know. I tell you, because I don't know the whole story myself, I am absolutely positive that there's much more than we know. Just to give you a couple signs. First of all, Pavel Durov gave a big interview to Carlson Tucker. He revealed himself. He stepped out from the shadow. Why? Until then, he had been an extremely private person. No one knew how he looked, how he behaved, where he lived, and so forth. Nothing. Then he became a public person. Then he announced a trip, summer-long trip around Central Asia, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan. And I was trying to get him over for breakfast to Tashkent Breakfast Club. That's our Russian community that I've created here. Over 1,000 people. Russian refugees in exile. So we get together, and this is one of the immigration centers of the Central Asia. Okay, so I was trying to get him over, and my point was, I was gonna say, look, I just want to shake your hand. I would like to buy you breakfast, and I want you to see people who you are helping with your Telegram, because there are thousands of us, and we use Telegram every day. Our group is in Telegram. Okay, we communicate with each other. That's without Telegram, it'll be much more difficult. So I wanted just to meet Durov and say, hey, look at these people. You helped them so much, so thank you. I couldn't get him to join us. Instead, Vladimir Putin went to Azerbaijan about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. And at the same time, Pavel Durov went to Azerbaijan. And then I was absolutely shocked to know that Durov requested a personal meeting with Vladimir Putin. And he was denied by the chief of staff of president's office. Dmitry Peskov, Putin's press secretary, said that Putin had never met with Durov, and there's no need, and there was no need that time. It turned out to be a lie. Putin, a week later, admitted that he met personally with Durov once. So there's something fishy was going on. But the big question is, why in the world would Durov need to meet Vladimir Putin personally? Isn't it odd, Walter?
Very much, very much. I
It's
remember
very
that interview.
fishy.
Yeah. I remember Putin saying that he hadn't met Durov, and then he said that he did once, like you said.
I don't think it was Putin. It was Peskov. The press
Oh,
secretary said, "Oh, Putin has never met Durov," and Putin himself admitted that he met Durov once.
fair enough.
Yeah, and then
Uh,
Durov traveled after Azerbaijan to France, and he was arrested upon arrival.
mhm.
And there are so many questions about his arrest. What really is going on? And a lot of people making suggestions. I don't think anyone is an expert on this issue. I don't think anyone knows really what's going on, because it could be anything. It
Right.
could be the French. It could be the Americans using the French as proxy,
Mhm.
which is very possible. It could be a covert operation that Durov wants to just ask for protection from French government and stay low in France and live there for the rest of his life. I mean, south of France is a beautiful place, and France is not the worst place to live. And then he's pretending, they're trying to make it look like, it's some kind of arrest and so forth. The charges they're charging Durov with are absurd. Okay. Um, he's charged with every crime. I
Mhm.
mean, they even saying that he molested children. It's crazy in France.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
all he did was he gave people ability to communicate, and he didn't cooperate with French authorities, or perhaps he did cooperate.
Mhm.
Perhaps it's a cover up, so no one really knows.
I think he was charged with not having moderators for Telegram, and some bad people on Telegram, like with the child stuff, were able
At
to share
first,
pictures,
they,
right?
at first they took all possible criminal articles in the French legislation, and they
Hmm.
charged with all of them.
Right.
Like, he organized crime groups. He was managing crime groups. He was charged with storing children's pornography,
Hmm.
and so forth. And then he had multiple court appearances.
Right.
Talk to judge, and that I can't really tell you. I didn't follow. You have to be like a French attorney to do that. But
Hmm.
they released him on own recognizance, uh, re
Yeah.
recognizance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Recognizance.
and it's odd, right? They charge you with all this.
Yeah.
very serious crimes, and then they let you go. You just have to check in the police department once a week. And then the icing on the cake is today.
Hmm.
Pavel Durov's girlfriend announced that she has the rights to Telegram, or at least half of it. Okay, that's crazy. It came out a few hours ago. Okay. They have three children together, and she made a statement saying that everything's been registered into Pavel Durov's name, but she was promised half of everything he owned, all assets, and she claims half of what he owns. So she claims half of Telegram. This is
Quite the
there's some
story.
kind of a game going on. Okay,
Is
definitely.
she,
We just don't know what kind.
is she still in Russia or is she in France as well? Or do you know?
It's a good question. I don't even know which is it the current girlfriend that he has. She was
Fair
detained
enough.
along with him but released.
Right.
Perhaps it was the like previous wife.
Hmm.
I know that he was arrested along with his girlfriend, but I'm not sure if it's the same person.
Okay. I've heard that theory that maybe he ran to France and all this is a cover so he doesn't have to go back to Russia. So, like you said, he could live in the south of France, which is good living if you can have it, especially with the amount of money he has.
But
It
then
is,
think about this. I know for sure that most of Russian servicemen fighting in Ukraine used Telegram for communications. It is not secret, okay? So I think the USA is dying. It wants to get the hands of the keys so it could eavesdrop on those communications. Is it them behind the arrest? Again, I don't know, but it's definitely something to think about.
oh, it is definitely. It's amazing that he still has his money, being a Russian. His money has not been embargoed, sanctioned. He can still get it,
Well, he
apparently.
left Russia a long time ago, and no one has any doubts that he is not, well, he wasn't supporting Putin's regime because he was a victim. That before we learned that he met with Putin and he
Hmm.
sold out to Russian government. So everyone thought he was a victim, and he didn't help with his money to
Right.
annex Crimea or to fight for the war in Ukraine. So he had been gone a long time before.
Hmm. See, the Americans should have gave him the money when he was in trouble, and then they would have had the keys to the kingdom, right?
Walter, I don't understand so many decisions that American authorities make.
Hmm.
Um, Either their game is incredibly sophisticated, or on many occasions, they're just acting dumb.
Hmm. I cannot.
Pavel Durov is a
I,
perfect example.
I don't deny that. Yeah. No. From Facebook to get VK to Telegram, and it's still being used today, though, right? Do you yourself worry about the encryption on Telegram?
Very much so. Now worse than ever, because now I know that they have the keys, they have their back door is open,
Right.
and I perhaps I know how they were tracking me down now because we use Telegram. Yes,
Yeah. Oh, I can. Well, thanks for that explanation. I just find that fascinating. Also, on your YouTube channel, you've been demonetized, and you have one of the best YouTube channels out there as far as getting the inside Russia scoop and stuff. I'm sorry to hear that. Is there any progress on that? Are you going to be able to get it fixed? I mean, do you want the audience to send letters to YouTube or what? How do you how do you approach this? This is terrible. This is terrible. I love watching you and your stream, and we need your voice, like your truth to power is part of your um, is what I like about your YouTube podcast.
Walter. First of all, thank you so much for bringing it up, and thank you for good words. I need that because good words is pretty much all I have left. Without good words, I'd be so depressed.
Hmm.
It's been a very philosophical experience. It's been, it's allowed me to learn myself more, you know. I feel like it's a journey, and I discover myself more and more in this journey. Now, my channel is about 6 years old, and I started as just a Russian guy who lived in the United States for a long time. I spent 9 years in Maine. I was educated both in Russia and in the USA, and then some of my children live in Russia, some in the USA. And I know both cultures. I'm a hybrid. Okay, I was born and raised in Russia, but then I spent my early adult years in the USA. I fell in love with the country. I fell in love with everything, pretty much. Um, and I felt like the Russia was misunderstood at the time,
Hmm.
and so I decided to tell the foreigners about Russia, and that's how Inside Russia was born. And then, of course, war in Ukraine happened, and that just broke my heart. And I decided to just to give people the truth of Russia, what Russia was becoming, the changes happening, and um, I started doing it without any goal, to be honest with you, just on emotions. The first days I was so hurt. And I started praying at the end of the stream, every live stream. I started streaming daily. It was all just spontaneously. And then I found myself learning Russia more and more, studying Russia. And now I consider myself a scholar of Russia, of the changes that are happening in the country. And I constantly learn and I filter because there's so much disinformation, fakes
Hmm.
coming in. I study both good Russians and Z patriots, the quasi patriots, those who support the war. I want to understand why Russia is becoming what it's becoming. Where is the root of all problems? And I want to find an elixir, a solution, a pill for Russian people to turn to the good side. So many things I have in mind, and I've been doing it. I've been building a community, offline community here in Uzbekistan that is kind of spreading all over the world, and I've established charity foundation to help Russian and Ukrainian immigrants, well, refugees, to move to the United States legally. And so I've been, involved in many things, and all of a sudden, my channel was demonetized. And I understood the decision because I'm a Russian national and they wanted to cut ties with Russians. Okay. And the thing is, I'm very grateful that YouTube demonetized me. Well, Google, but YouTube has kept my voice. So the channel is still alive, it's still well. Um, and it gave me a kind of path to remonetize, which I followed. I have a company in the United States, in Florida, and I've had it for quite some time. I have a bank account open. I have people working for me in America, and I use this to open AdSense, corporate AdSense,
Hmm.
and according to Google's rules, because I like everything to do everything according to the rules, transparently and legally. And they rejected me. I applied again. Well, I really asked for explanation why they rejected me for the second time, didn't give me an explanation, and they banned me for 90 days. I cannot reapply. So I am demonetized for 90 days.
Hmm.
And honestly, I am sitting here and I'm hurting. I'm not scared of it.
Hmm.
It's life, but it really hurts because I feel like Russian government is after me. I caught Russian agents on 2 occasions following me here in Uzbekistan, and they're actively after me. Okay. And now the other side is also after me. It's Google in America. And I'm caught between, you know, two fires, a rock and a hard place. And I'm confused. I feel like Noah in the inside of the whale's
Mhm.
stomach. It's dark. It's really not comfortable here. Well, the community has been helping. A lot of people have been reaching out, just like you know, reached out and you're saying good words. And um, I definitely am not going to give up. I
Right.
still, monetized or not, I still go and talk about Russia. Nothing has changed on Inside Russia. I do not make any money
Right.
from Google for that. But that, you know, it's not about the money. It's about telling the truth. Money is important. Money, you know, pays my
Yeah.
bills, supports the family, and then some of it I used for, you know, good things for local community, for Russians and the Ukrainians. Um, Money is very important, but it's not the priority number one. And so I'm walking the walk, not just talking the talk. So I continue going live every day,
Hmm.
but it stinks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
And
the
another thing I would like to add, they started demoting my channel
oh my.
because yeah, they show the thumbnails to fewer and fewer people. I get fewer views because I guess Google is a commercial company and they don't really care for the channels that are not monetized and they don't earn them profit from
Mhm.
showing ads. Um, so it's just I'm so disappointed and I'm so hurt and I honestly don't know what to do. I'm not sitting still. I've tried to reach out to different people, but no result.
Right. Well, I'm very disappointed as well because I think your voice out in the world needs to be heard. The juxtaposition of this is our T money going to some podcasters in North America, $100,000 a week, and
I know.
their channels are still up. They're still running. They're still having advertisements, right? Whereas you up in Tashkent, with giving us the truth and the honesty of uh, which we need to hear about what actually is happening in Russia, and the guys who were paid to lie, they're still going, right? Although they may be charged down. I
But they're
mean,
still going. You're absolutely right. They're still
yeah,
monetized, and Google is treating them as, you
yeah,
know,
because they bring money into
it,
Google, I guess.
it's just absolutely incredible. I tell you what, I was reached out by a couple Russian YouTubers. It's a small world, you know. It's before the war, we all talk to each other,
Right.
uh, and I was offered help in circumventing. They said, look, why don't you, re-register to this AdSense account that's been proven and we'll pretend it's you, but it's not you.
Hmm.
And, these people will take a cut and they'll send you money via cryptocurrency and all of that. And I'm doing it, you can do that too. You know what? They're cheating Google and they get monetized again. And I'm sitting there talking to Google directly in a straightforward way, and they're punishing me for that. They're not monetizing me. I
Hmm.
tell you more. There a lot of people reach out and give me information. There are at least two Russian YouTubers based in Russia, pro-war, that Google is still monetizing them. I I don't know
Oh
what to.
my God.
Just one thing, it hurts.
Yes.
It hurts. Okay, that's it's not a good feeling.
Constantine, all the best to you. And I hope Google gets some sense for themselves for their AdSense. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Thank you very much for
Thank
spending
you,
some
Walter.
time with me. If you can, I'll close out the show and then just hang on for a minute. I really appreciate you spending your time. Your time is valuable. And it's always a pleasure having a conversation with you,
Likewise.
my friend. Well, thank
Likewise.
thank you.